Welcome to the webinar Master BJJ Competitor versus Overtraining. World-class performance starts with world-class mindset and recovery. So we're going to talk more about it. So for people who don't know much about my work, maybe just stumble on this here, someone send you the video, you don't know nothing about me. So my name is Gustavo Dantas. I'm 50 years old. Been training jiu-jitsu for over 35 years. And I'm a 6-degree black belt under Pederneiras, founder of Nova União, IBJJF Master World Champion. I'm still an active competitor in the Master 5 division. Owner of GD Jiu-Jitsu Academy in Tempe, Arizona. You can see my Arizona background here with the desert. And I'm also the tournament promoter AZ BJJ League. So been doing promoting tournaments here for 25 years. And also the co-founder of the nonprofit organization Jiu-Jitsu Tribe. So always inspire, impacting, and improving lives, utilizing Jiu-Jitsu as a personal and social development tool for the past 15 years in Brazil and in the US. And probably if you're watching, again, you don't know anything about me, you might be wondering, dude, why do I have to listen to you? Just because you're a black belt, you can talk about mindset or the BJJ mental coach. So it's a valid question. So I'm gonna just give you a little more context how we even got here to get to the point where me sharing this information. So I don't know if maybe you ever had a situation where you left a tournament, maybe you have a positive result, you won, but you know that you hit your head in a pillow and you're just not happy with your performance. I'm just like, dude, just it wasn't my authentic self. It wasn't me. I was holding back. I felt okay, yay, I won, but I'm not happy. Do you relate with that? I don't know how experienced you are. I'll tell you that. That's what I went through back in 2010. I was not happy. I was having some positive results, but I just wasn't happy. This is the picture with my son. Jonathan is the international master in senior. This was in Rio before the Master Worlds. This was the main tournament for the Master, the only one. So in 2012, the first Master Worlds took place. And I remember this specific tournament that man, I was feeling anxious for the Las Vegas Open. It was 3 weeks after this international master, and I had one match, and I ended up winning by a lot of points. And people saying like, "Oh man, you did great," and I laughed. Knowing that it didn't feel right. I was anxious before. I was rushing things. I just didn't like how I felt. And then I competed in the open class, and then I did great. I lost in my first match by advantage, bigger opponent, but I felt great. I felt like it was really myself on the mat. I don't know if you've been there before, if you have competed open class in your weight class, especially when you're a little lighter, and you just kind of go with the mentality like, whatever happens, happens, and then you can go kind of loose. And I said, like, man, it doesn't make sense. Why I would be able to feel my authentic self in one division and not on the other? It doesn't make any sense. So I was in Vegas, went back to the hotel. The first thing I went to look for, mental preparation. So mental preparation for jiu-jitsu. I couldn't really find anything at all, right? Pages. And then I found one little program, cost like $100. It was had a CD and little booklet, and for like 2 weeks. And then they had a self-assessment that really opened my mind of talking about like some of the common mental mistakes that we do, and I never really stopped to think about it. So I started going over the questions like, oh wow, I have a lot more mental blocks that I even realized. So that was kind of like sparked my passion for mental skills training, personal development. Start getting involved with doing courses, a mental coaching course, and not to do the BJJ mental coach. It's just I want to fix my own issues. Life coaching, high performance coaching, therapies, and then just kind of like went on and on my personal development journey. But started with a jujitsu competition, the curiosity of like just understand how are you feeling. So I was studying and test driving the information too, and I start feeling better again. That's what I started to like, man, I like this. And I started to share with some of my students. I will see some people like, man, you probably know someone that in the school, like, dude, that dude is an animal at the school. I don't know what happened when he competes. Is not his authentic self. So of course I had some at my school too, and I started to little by little talk with some of them, and I saw some little by little they feeling better, performing better. It's not about the winning or the losing. And then eventually I thought, wow, I can't really stop and talk with everyone. I will just do a group class. So I announced it like, hey, on Saturday, I'm gonna come here. I'm going to share what has been working for me for the past couple of years and how it helped me and maybe can help you. So I did that, and as I mentioned, test driving helping me to win the very first Worlds in 2012. And 40 people show up in this class, and you always think that you're the only one. You think that you're the only one that is nervous on the bullpen, that have doubts and insecurities. Everyone has. Some people just deal with them better than others, but we all have. And after that, I did a few more classes, and then started the idea started to evolve. I started to do bigger presentations and founded the BJJ Mental Coach movement. And my first program was the Inner Discover for Auto Success. Back then, it was a DVD set. Wrote my first book, The Launch of Your BJJ Competition Journey After 30, 10 Steps to Maximize Your Tournament Experience. Create the list of the top 10 mental mistakes jiu-jitsu competitors make and how to avoid it. And it started to really get the momentum of the BJJ Mental Coach movement. What do I say movement? Because a movement is a group of people united by a shared belief and purpose that creates change bigger than any individual. So the BJJ Mental Coach not necessarily is Gustavo, no. It's an idea and a concept all around authenticity. This year, BJJ Mental Coach represents that. Just be you. Be able to be you on the mat, to be your most authentic version, like how you train, how you perform in your personal and professional life. Be you. Go after your goals and dreams, not just settle. Overcome difficulties, accept more challenges. Just be the best version of you. And as I start sharing with more people over the years, so many world champions. This is just an example of Hobson Mora, 5-time world champion, great friend of mine, Vitor Shaolin, 3-time black belt adult world champion, and both are master world champions as well. And got into MMA too, helping as much as I could. A great friend of mine, Tali Slatis, Jose Aldo, the toughest mind that I've ever encountered in sports. Personally, speak that I have contact, so I was able to learn a lot from him. We exchange a lot of information, and as I was getting involved, I'll be sharing with him too. I would go to camps with him in the fights back in the WC and the UFC. So great experience. So all this content has been impacting a lot of high level guys and thousands of people around the world. And I truly believe that it can impact your journey as well. Of course, you need to practice. This is not just like, oh, that sounds good. You need to practice and consistently. So the mind is the toughest part because today it's all about you. Okay. I'm going to talk about, sure, my journey, how I got to here, just give you a context like how we got here. I'm going to share some of the context again of my experience, but it's all about you, and it's about you really reflecting on your journey and always thinking beyond the mat. Your mindset, what kind of mindset are you approaching jiu-jitsu and life? And about you, your authenticity on and off the mat. So with that said, now 12 years later, from when I started the BJJ mental coach, starting the BJJ Masters community now, 12 years, adding on top of everything that I study and lived, and now have competed in between Master 1 to 5. And I share all of them experience with the Inner Discover for Auto Success, my latest book, 10 Rules to Integrate Authenticity and Performance Beyond in Jiu-Jitsu and Beyond. So I put it everything that I know is there. I gave to my son, and I told him, like, so far, this is all I know about personal development, how we can blend this with jujitsu. That's it. And having that experience of from competing Master 1 to Master 5, competing as an adult, I can tell you one thing. if you think about it, what do they have in common? Maybe a blue belt that is 61, maybe a master one that is 31 and he's pretty good shape and super active, and me. I mean, we all have something in common. Them, you, that is about being the most authentic version on the mat. Because when we think about these two here, like, yeah, as I mentioned, the master one and the master like 6 or 7, they will not recover. Like 31 and 61 is very different. For me, competing now, turning 51 and 31, that is very different. Okay, so I don't know what age bracket you're at right now, but the goal is the same regardless of the tournament, regardless of title, belt, age. It doesn't matter. You just want to be your best version. However, easier said than done. Why? I want you to reflect, especially if you have competed before, and it always helps when you have more experience. But I want you to think about a tournament that you were fully prepared and you know that man, you're in good shape. You made weight well, strategy on point, technique, the most technical that you've ever been. But for whatever reason, your nerves got the best of you and you couldn't deliver. You left the mat saying, dude, that was not me there. I don't know what happened. I couldn't let go. I couldn't me could be the me of the academy. And if this has happened to you, this is one of the most frustrating feelings the competitor can have. Someone, boom, got your arm, so be it. Good job. It is what it is. But now, when you lose to yourself, usually it's a long night. You hit your head on the pillow the night of the tournament. It's like, okay, yeah, I'm not sleeping anytime soon because it was like, I should have done this, should have done that, right? So, if your mind tricked you last time or at some point, have you worked on it? Because that is the most important thing. Some people sometimes struggle with that, and which I did before too, and don't do anything about it. At some point I didn't do anything about it because I wasn't even aware that what was going through my mind, and I wasn't even aware that exist that actually mental training exists. I had no idea, right? But here's the thing: if you know that, like, yeah, I didn't feel you just let's say you didn't feel like you the authentic you from the academy. So if it didn't, for whatever reason it didn't perform well, it's your job, it's your duty to find what's holding you back from being the real you on and off the mat, because a lot of the lessons, as you get experience, you see that. You get to learn a lot about yourself in a pressure situation. And when you get to you discover some patterns that might be holding you back in jiu-jitsu, guess what? They might be holding you back in your personal and professional life. Just saying. If you're a huge perfectionist, do you think you're perfectionist just in jiu-jitsu? No, it's going to reflect in other areas. If you have fear of disappointing others in jiu-jitsu, you don't think you're going to have any other areas. So you get to learn a lot about yourself. I always mention jiu-jitsu. It's an incredible person social development tool that you don't have to compete. Anyone who's watching this and like, hey, I'm watching, but I don't want to compete. You don't have to. You're still gonna get all the benefits training jiu-jitsu. You're still gonna get all the benefits of feeling more confident. Let's say if you, okay, maybe this is not gonna relate to everyone, but if you have competed multiple times, probably people with more experience would resonate with this message. Just give an example. You've been training for 10 years. And then for 10 years, you never competed. Man, you're still going to grow a lot. Are you kidding me? You're going to learn about yourself, being comfortable in uncomfortable situations, dealing with your anxiety, just being like, oh man, I'm stuck in here. Developing your emotional resilience, learning how to defend yourself, being better, getting better shape, all that. However, if you want to amplify the power of this tool, competition is an incredible tool, because everything that you're doing now gets amplified because of the mental, the emotional aspect. So that's why when you think about it, there's no way for you to compare. Be like, now put in this 10 years, but you had competitions here and there. Absolutely, as far as mental emotional growth, absolutely. the growth, adding those challenges will intensify. At least that's how I feel, especially if you have competed before. You know, as for a long time, you know exactly what I'm talking about. You wouldn't be the same person if you just did jujitsu, which would be incredible, but then you add those situations. But anyway, 2014, I created the top 10 mental mistakes jiu-jitsu competitors make and how to avoid them based on all the bad mistakes that I made from blue to black belt. Not necessarily a ranking. It was just as it came to my mind, I started to write them down. 2020, I updated them to top 30 mental mistakes because after interviewing over 300 people, English and Portuguese, athletes, coaches, high performance entrepreneurs, but as far as BJJ goes, I upgraded that and said like, oh, some of the stuff that I've done it, some that I haven't. So if you think that because I created the list of the 30 mental mistakes, I'm the BJJ mental coach, do you think that I don't make mistakes, that I'm perfect, I'm like bulletproof mindset? Sure, you know, we all strive for, but I still make mistake. I still face my internal battles. No one, including you, has a free pass. What do you mean, Gustavo, a free pass? A free pass from your dark passenger. Shout out to any of the Dexter fans from Showtime. So the dark passenger is the negative voice that lives in your head. It's your mental roommate that always brings all the doubts, fears, insecurities, and anxieties that stays with you forever. You're not going to get rid of this voice, this uh, this negative voice. You're going to live with it for the rest of your life. Okay. So everyone has internal battles that no one knows about it, including you. And it's not one is more intense than the other. I tell you what, some people, especially the high level best athletes in the world or whatever, sure, some people handle the internal battles better than others, but everyone has it. No one has a free pass. With that said, you have good news and bad news. Okay. The bad news is that I already said you're going to be with you for the rest of your life. The good news is that you can become more self aware of what's coming, the message is coming from your dark passenger, for you to self regulate, self manage your thoughts, feelings, and behaviors and be more effective. And that's exactly what you need to do. You can become more self aware of these thoughts. And I tell you what, very big information. I talk about that in my book too. If you haven't stopped to reflect on this, you are not your negative voice. You're the consciousness who's aware of this voice. You are observing this voice. You're not the voice. You don't have to accept the voice. You can fight back with your bully. If you think about it, you have an idea, you know what? I'm going to start a new business, whatever. And you really feel that instinct that, man, I really like this. In less than 5 seconds, your dark passenger maybe is taking a nap, going to be like, you're going to do what? Who said that you're good enough to do that? You're probably not gonna work. You're safe right now. You know, why are you gonna try this? And then next thing you feel that anxiety, and then like, yeah, I'm not gonna do it. And you feel better. You can bang heads and you can fight back with this bully. It's a mental bully that lives in your head. You don't have to accept. And there's a book recommendation here, The 5 Second Rule by Mel Robbins, and she talks about that. You got about 5 seconds until you're negative voice kicks in and then whoa, so you have to be self-aware that when that voice comes you're like, wait a minute, I don't have to accept that, you don't have to accept that, otherwise they're going to run your life. So if you don't control your mind is going to control you. So you have to be aware of the messages coming, and again, it's going to be with you for the rest of your life. So it's a daily battle, you versus you. There's no other way around. So today the main topic is the mental mistake, overtraining. Some people may say, like, is overtraining a mental mistake? Yep. And I'm gonna show you, improve you, at least with my experience. And by the end of the class, this is the goal, like for you to how to tell the difference between overreaching and overtraining syndrome, how to spot the early physical performance and mental symptoms, how to use a prevention plan, and what to do if you are already there. So our mission here is everything that I do, if you follow my life, everything that I do is aligned with that to inspire, impact, and improve your journey. If if that is not aligned, whatever business venture, whatever, I don't compromise that for anything, including money. So everything I do, if you go back, it's everything related to inspire, impact, improve. So that's something for you, the part of developing your authenticity, to have your mission, to have your values, live congruently to the best of your ability with what you want to do and what's your mission. All right. So with that said, are you ready? And let's go. So I'm going to be sharing, as I mentioned, some of my journey, but I want you to start reflecting on the phrase, not phrase, but a question: how high can you fly? So if you're new to my spiel, or you're new to my, following my work, social media and stuff. So this is something already being started. I'm going to talk about this project that I started it was a 9 month project that ended last month. I have done a project like this before. But the idea of how high can you fly, it's for you to sit right now and think for a second. Just think right now. Have you thought about that? How high can you fly? How far can you go in your, I'm not talking about, come on, just jiu-jitsu, everything. How can I push the limit? Can I even fly high? Why others fly high, I cannot fly high? Are someone predisposed to fly high? Is that how it works? No. So you need to figure out, like, do I want to fly high? Do I want to fly just right here under? There's no reason for me to fly up there. And that's okay. It's not right or wrong. Just you're not allowed to complain. And some people be like, just like me here, sitting and watching everyone fly. Again, not right or wrong. However, if you do want to fly high, accept big challenges in your life, there's two main mindsets. There is a spectrum right here. That is, you can play to win or you can play not to lose. Again, not right or wrong. There are maybe moments in your life and then more things that you're playing more to win. And then sometimes some things are playing not to lose, sometimes reverse. And that's the same in jiu-jitsu. And this I learned through competing, uh, using wrong, right strategies. It was that. When you go compete, it's never play to win, play not to lose, which how I used to see at one point when I started to develop this mindset. Until I had my experience from competing at the Worlds last year, losing the final of the Worlds last year. It was exactly the lesson that I got. That is really a spectrum. We want to be mainly. I'm going to break down which one. Mainly on a play to win side, but there will be moments that you play not to lose. It's a war. It's 30 seconds left, and this guy's coming after me. Yes, I'm gonna play safe and play not to lose. That's part of it. The probably when it's heavier to the play not to lose side with the moments of play to win, and I've been stuck on that a lot in my, especially my color belts, and part of my journey as a black belt as well. Just stay in my comfort zone, doing everything, and I always kind of like being a little resistant going out of my comfort zone. But still, it doesn't mean that I didn't get some good results here and there. But I'm saying, as far as like, I had a hard time being my authentic self. If you 80% playing not to lose and 20% play to win, hopefully it makes sense. So, okay, some features from play not to lose. So focus on fear and limitations. Make safe choices to avoid discomfort. Avoid challenges that push you forward. Hold back your true self to fit in. See setback as threats instead of lessons. So all that you can choose, you can pick the context in personal, professional, jiu-jitsu. All that comes in. Like, avoid challenges to push you forward. Some people, they want to compete. Like, dude, I really want to, but my fear of embarrassment is so much stronger that I choose play not to lose. That's okay. I think about flying high, but my fear of like really avoiding that, forcing me to make safe choices. I don't know what's gonna happen, makes you stay right there. So with that mindset, again, it's gonna be very tough to be your most authentic self. So play to win. It's the opposite. Focus on growth and opportunities. Make bold, intentional choices. Embrace challenges as a path to progress. Live in authenticity and purpose, and see setbacks as lessons to grow stronger. That's very different. With that said, everyone can fly high to achieve goals and dreams. As my mom always say, about she'll tell me like, Gustavo, you're born to shine. You're different. That's what she used to say. Gustavo, you're very different. You were born to shine. And I used to like never really share with anyone about what I'm saying. I wrote in a book, and that's the first, not the first time, because I have mentioned one or twice. I was kind of shy about it, felt weird. But then I started to reflect more and more because she told me this since I was little, and I disagree and I agree with things. One, I disagree that I'm special, which I'm not. However, I believe I was born to shine, so were you. I believe I was born to fly high, so were you. However, this you need to earn this right to fly high, and there's a price for it, and the price is with the currency that I like to say is discipline. Okay. And also, if you really want to fly high, what kind of mindset you're going to use? Because if you're playing not to lose, it's not gonna happen, dude. It's not gonna happen. So here's the thing: everyone goes through ups and downs. It's part of the journey. Moments that you're playing to win in your life, and next thing you got a relationship issue, and then your mind just go boom all the way to the other side of the spectrum, and you're playing not to lose. Now you're being safe. Sometimes you're bold, playing to win and going after goals. The spectrum. We always gonna be trying to trying to get close to the play to win. And yes, other times life hits hard and you find yourself stuck just trying not to lose. So the good news is awareness is power. I have a quote in my wall at the school. We have four different environments that I call with different themes. And the second one is the awareness room. And I have the formula: awareness plus action equals transformation. You can be aware, super aware that I'm aware that I know that I want to fly high. I know what I need to do. Now it's clear to me, but I'm not going to take any action. So that would be, there's no transformation. It's being aware and action, deliberate action, consistent with discipline. And yes, then you can transform whatever your life, your professional life, your jiu-jitsu, whatever. So just by attending here and watching the webinar, you're already taking a step forward. With that said, I'm going to usually when I teach seminars, if you've been in any of my seminars, live seminars, I always start saying like, I'm gonna start saying that I don't want to thank anyone from being here. Like, oh God, thank you so much. It means so much to me. It's not about me, it's about you. So congratulations for sitting and watching or whatever you're doing, or maybe on a treadmill when you're listening, but you are taking the time to get some information. Let me see what the student had to say. Maybe it says something that is going to improve my life. And that's what I want. If I can get one thing for you to start applying, just one thing that I said, the mission here is already done, which is help in some way to inspire, impact, improve your authenticity journey in anything that we can say here. So it shows that you have the desire to grow more. And maybe you are a master competitor, maybe you were not. Maybe you're young and under the 30 crowd, but you're here. Good for you. If you never competed, maybe you're not even trained jiu-jitsu, and someone just said, like, dude, listen to this guy. It's nothing to do with jiu-jitsu, but it's good. So I love when people that don't actually train at least listen to some information, right? So let me give you some more context on the how high can you fly, which is for you to pick a challenge. You already determined the play to win mindset, and you're gonna throw a way up high. So when you throw up high, I have a quote that I like from Les Brown, the motivation speaker, that is say, "Shoot for the moon, because if you miss, you might land among the stars." You're right here. You attempt to fly high and get like, dude, I want to get to here. Oh no, I got to here. Did you fail on that? You know what I mean? You're already better than where you were before. So my challenge was after I came back from not competing for 9 years, and I did two tournaments, two opens, and one Master Worlds. As I already mentioned, I lost in the final. I won the two opens, and I lost the final of the Master Worlds, 2024. And then I got back and I was like, you know what? I do want to get another How High Can You Fly, which I've done. When I was 40 years old, I did a How High Can You Fly. That was me attempting to qualify for the Master Worlds. I'm sorry, qualify for the Adult Worlds when I turned 40. So I talk about this in my on the Inner Discover for Auto Success, my first How High Can You Fly, right? So the idea is to compete in the four major tournaments from the IBJJF, competing as a featherweight, which for me that means 15 pounds usually that I have to lose. And some tournaments being very close, so that's a 9 month commitment. So if you want to get a How High Can You Fly, don't just get something for a month. Throw it out there. Work on your consistency, on your perseverance, a little longer. All right. So the first one would be the Europeans. So now, when I set the goal, I put three tiers. I got the first one is the health, meaning especially dealing with so many injuries and surgeries and whatnot. The tier one is I want to be able to be healthy to compete all four. It would be awesome if I can participate in all four to begin with, to be signed up and be on the mat for all four. Number one. Number two, performance, win all four. There's no other way. That means if I lose one, this tier wasn't complete. It's either win all four or not. And the third one, the unicorn level, which is win all four and all by submission. Maybe, I don't know if someone has done it, but very few individuals probably have done that to the four tournaments. And that. I think the tougher than that, I was reflecting one day, it would be the double unicorn level, which is someone that win double gold grand slam, finishing everyone. That would be wild. And also you can follow the journey on YouTube. I have the Diary of a Master, so show some of the things of me training, getting ready, behind the scenes, competition. So check it out. Got some information there. So the first one, the European, it was cool because one of the things, have you competed abroad before internationally? If not, it's a great life experience. See other cultures. Maybe you can go take your family. Maybe you can go take your wife or your husband. If you have never competed internationally and you don't want to be a competitor active, dude, it's just an amazing experience. You get to travel, see other stuff, and do some jiu-jitsu and compete. Why not? But you got to really pay attention to logistics, because for example, for me, it was 7 hour difference from Phoenix to Lisbon. So now that take a lot of things consideration. What kind of food do they have there? So a lot of things, the traveling, so I don't get in the last minute. Okay. So I end up having a good day. I had four matches. I end up defeating in the final the winner of 2000, that was a 2024 European champion. And I submitted my first two matches, and then the third one I won by points. And then the tier three was gone. And the highlight of the event for me was my brother was there. My brother lives in Lisbon, and I was able to stay with him. And he is one of the most influential people in my life, especially with my jiu-jitsu career. He guided me, my marketing, how to be a professional athlete. He went to college early for that kind of stuff, being a journalist and study marketing. So that to this day, stuff that I put on a book, stuff that he taught me, and I have a lot of intentional goals. This is just something to throw it out there just to share. It's something super personal that you can do it. Some people that are closer to me, they know that I do like doing some notes and affirmations before a tournament. But I wrote a letter to him before I left Arizona, sealed and put his name and his daughter's name. She's an aspiring swimming athlete and aspiring Olympic athlete. And I was writing why I was giving the gold medal to him. And when he finished the tournament, I just gave him the envelope and boom, and gave to him. And that reinforces me my why. Connect with the necessity to connect with a cause that I want to win. I want to give this to him and I'm going to do it. And that's something for you to like, what can you connect with when you compete? Maybe write it down your feelings and stuff that I do. I'm after the tournament, man, I felt great. Everything was clicking. I felt like my authentic self we don't know if what's going to happen, but this is your movie. You're the director, you're the star. You write everything you want. You can write and imagine saying like, I was on a podium, like me was giving the medal, then say like, oh man, and then I saw everyone on the podium as I was crying on the side. You can you can produce whatever movie you want, right? So 8 weeks after, so great, had plenty of time to recover. It was great. I felt I was like, I don't know, maybe the overall best overall performance, the first one. I don't know. And then Penn in Florida, super tough tournament. Uh, 3 matches. However, um, all 2024. One was the European champion, then the Pan champion, then the Brazilian national champion. Super tough, challenging tournament, and something happened during my final. Man, out of a scramble, I rolled my ankle. I have done it like 4 or 5 times. I have a lot of issues, and dude, it was bad. It got to a point that when I came back, I had to Brazilian nationals in 5 weeks. I could not train top whatsoever. Nothing. I tried for 2 days and I saw stars. It hurt so much. I had to take 2 cortisone shots, train basically with a boot, just bottom this whole time. I went to Brazilian Nationals training zero top because I needed to save it as much as I could and ended up tearing something in my foot. And I was like, well, I have to do it. And that was like the being healthy. If it was any other tournament, I had pulled out. So that's when, and we talk about this in the book, connecting with your why. I had tournaments before, including Master Worlds and other years that I messed up my knee really bad 3 weeks before. And I said, like, I'm not doing it. I wasn't that connected with it. This time, I'll be like, it's going, I don't know what's going to take me for me not to compete. So super challenging event. If you can watch the Diary of a Master, my luggage got lost in a bus, dude. They're crazy. So if you have a chance to go, check it out. I ended up having 3 matches, 2 by decision and 1 by submission. Tough tournament, man. And but I felt that that was the beginning of my decline. I didn't have so I had 3 wins, which was great, and I came back with a feeling of like I hit a little bit of a wall, physically speaking. I'm like, dude, it wasn't mental. It was just like, dude, my body is a freaking mess. My foot was jacked. I messed up. I landed on my shoulder, so I had a grade 1 sprain on my shoulder during the match, and I messed up my rib to wake up. So I'm a mess. So I stayed a couple weeks in Brazil. I got back. I'm trying to just like, dude, I have 4 months, so I'm going to rest. And then I got sick for 4, almost 5 weeks. Some viral infection, taking antibiotics, the lingering cough wouldn't go away. So I'm 6 weeks out of commission. And then now we're getting there, y'all. Bear with me. When the top mental mistakes start to kick in. Why? Because I started to like, dude, I need to train, I need to train, I need to train. Right? Start to get concerned. So I had 2 types of plans. The plan B is 3, kind of like a Monday, Wednesday, Friday, jiu-jitsu, strength conditioning, Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday. I did it for 2 weeks, and then I started looking, I'm not training enough. I have to do more. And I upgraded to my plan A, which is Monday, Tuesday, two sessions a day, rest Wednesday, then double session again, Thursday, Friday, rest on weekends. And at the same time, I started to reduce my calories too early. So it's a bad combination. I jumped in uh too quick that I'm still recovering from like I started this process competing on April 2024. Before that I had 1 month break. So I've been active this whole time. And that's when it started like really questioning I have to do more. I have to do more. I'm not doing enough. And then about mid July, and I got in contact with my strength conditioning coach, and I said, "I do this. Something's going on. Um, I'm feeling exhausted. My shoulders, my arm, they get tired. My heart rate goes up after the first, the first round." So like, wow, it's not normal. Take a couple of days off and stuff like that. So I toned down for a couple of days, and then again, I have to train. So I kept pushing. Wasn't feeling great. You just frustrated, and then finally, it happens. It happened. It was a Friday, and basically 3 weeks before the tournament, the Master Worlds. And I hit a wall like I've never done before. I finished training. I was supposed to do strength and conditioning. I said, like, I'm so trash. There's no way that I can do this right now. So I had to skip a session, told my trainer, and then I was supposed to be off for the weekend. So Saturday, Sunday, next thing, Monday, I wake up, I'm feeling just like it's Friday. And the next thing is Wednesday, Thursday, and I still feel like Friday. I'm like, dude, this is not good. And then finally started to calm down. So for basically 9 days. So that I had to take off. Um, so let's get into overtraining. And that's pretty much it, man. Stress exceeds recovery. You're putting so much load physically, mentally, emotionally that when that is greater than your body's ability to recover, we have a problem. And I was not only ignoring symptoms that we're going to talk about, I'm reducing calories. I'm like a time bomb, right? Um, so, and that's the interesting thing about overtraining. It's not just tired, it gets to a chronic state, so not just rest. I will talk more about this as I get deeper into the chronic state that I'm talking about. So I don't give any spoiler. And that is so true that performance goes backward. I don't know if you felt like that before that you're training, you feel like you're doing your strength conditioning, doing your training, but you're like, dude, I don't know what's happening. Like I'm training worse. My body is really feeling it. So two key terms, crucial terms for today: overreaching and overtraining syndrome. Overreaching, overtraining syndrome. So let's talk about overreaching. Short term plan phase of intense training. That's the regular. You work out, push your body to a normal limit. You get sore. Like when you lift, you get a little sore, give a couple of days, boom, you're good to go. So you have this temporary dip, right? Which is planned. And usually after rest, you recover. So that's the healthy training, right? So productive training method when managed properly. So with that said, overreaching, we have two. We have the functional overreaching, which is exactly that, the intentional period of training overload, right? That would basically what I just described, that you just kind of drop and after a few days you basically get back good to go, have that super compensation. Okay, so of course this is how we prepare for a tournament. It's a key periodization in training. Now, productive fatigue that is planned short term, stronger after rest. So non-functional is when this overload of training, it kind of past the point, it becomes excessive and isn't matched with enough recovery. That's the red flag. Fatigue lingers much longer, weeks to months. Performance keeps declining instead of rebounding. Mental symptoms show up: irritability, low motivation, mood swings, increased anxiety, and it edges into overtraining syndrome if not correct. Check. Uh, Athletes risk injury, burnout, or even stepping away from the sport, and that is true, not just in jiu-jitsu. So, counterproductive fatigue, unplanned, poorly managed, long term decline. So, now overtraining syndrome. Now we got there. Severe chronic condition caused by prolonged non functional overreaching without enough recovery. So, you guys following right now, normal training, adding passing, like, yo, watch out. Like, I don't want to watch out. Okay, so deal with the next phase, which is overtraining. So it's a long term, and performance continues to decline as completely the opposite of what you want. The different sides of the spectrum, right? Completely different. Can take months or even years to fully recover. Since I started going through this, I started to really study more about it, and that's why we're having this. I started studying this when I had to do my break. That I would talk more about it. Um, Threatens both athletic career and overall well-being if not recognized and addressed early. So what is the tricky part about all this? When you are driven, it's easy to think that more is better. And that'll be me. And that's exactly what this mental mistake is. That's why it's a mental mistake. In my mind, I have the belief that more is better. With that, my thoughts, feelings, behavior is going to come. Everything I'm choosing to do, it's around the premise that more is better. And then it will generate some type of result. And from that result, I'll analyze and be like, okay, what do I do with that? And then we're going to get to this point. Symptoms to watch for with overtraining. So, physically speaking, persistent fatigue. Check. As I mentioned, I was like, dude, that thing wouldn't go away. Prolonged muscle soreness. Frequent injuries or nagging pains. Check. So, I had then finally, with June, I had to wait because of all the shots that I took. I did a stem cell treatment month after I did PRP with physical therapy and all the stuff that I do. So it was crucial for my recovery. Weak immune system, and just I got sick bad. And one of the things I have improved over the years a lot when I got involved with high performance coaching is the sleep. I used to be really bad of just, again, more is better. So I'm working late. I need to put more hours. Blah 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 blah. So I improved on like stopping earlier to sleep and stuff like. There's crunch time. There's crunch time. Sometimes these things need to be done. So I try to be more aware. And I was sleeping very bad. It was a tough one, dude. Appetite changes. I can really tell because uh, I was in a diet anyway, so I cannot really tell. Hormonal shifts and elevated resting heart rate. Bingo. That was my biggest issue, the heart rate. And and even earlier this year I went to a cardiologist to take a look and see things, and you just have something I need to watch if you get to this size here, and then you need to do something. But right now it's good. So I'm okay. But that was my biggest issue. So, regarding performance symptoms, as I mentioned, declining in strength despite consistent training, loss of speed, explosiveness, sometimes feeling flat. There are days that I'll come in, I was like, dude, this is going to be brutal. It took a long time just kind of get in the mode, warm up the body. Yeah. Decreased coordination or timing, longer recovery between sessions or rounds. And psychologically speaking, irritability. This one is, it got me early because of my frustration that I'm like, I just started training. I'm already exhausted. That would drive me through the wall. I wouldn't say that I was still not lack of motivation. I was still kind of pushing, let's say. Increased anxiety before training, difficulty concentrating, loss of competitive fire. I didn't see that, but I tell you that the mental mistake, this overtraining, uh, I have to say I had at least between 80 to 90% of the symptoms, maybe 80, maybe more. I don't know, but the key ones really got me. So, with that said, some topics for you to pay attention. And this belief, old school belief, more is better. And check. That was me. Fear of doing too little, anxiety about losing progress or falling behind peers, and life stress stacking with training stress, especially being a master, work, family, and all that kind of stuff. Ignoring the early signs, which that's what I did. Fatigue, mood swings, irritability until body breaks down. So I had no clue what I put myself into. It's like I'll just rest 99 days and I'll be fine. So why athletes overtrain? If you think about it, why maybe overtrain? Maybe one of the reasons maybe could be, but yeah, the fear of underperforming is a big one. Like I need to be ready, right? Being outpaced for other people. So at least you have the commitment on missing like sessions that I should have missed to rest. I feel like I can't. Rest seen as weakness, fatigue mistaken for lack of fitness, push through pain instead of recovering. That would be me. Ego and external pressure, self worth tied to performance and toughness, and pressure to impress others, family, friends, and social media, and so forth. Again, old school, more is better mentality, and fail to consider changing recovery needs with age, even though since I got back to competing, I really invested in my recovery. I have good partnership with Unfair Advantage Performance in Tempe, Arizona, so I can do my cold plunge, sauna, and control physical therapy is located inside. So Dr. Greg McClarty helped me with that. He's a jiu-jitsu black belt friend of mine. So I invest in my chiropractor, massage therapist, and all that, but still 51 is not 31. So, yeah, trying to train. Sometimes I do think that I'm 20. And result fear, ego, outdated beliefs combine, and turning pursuit of excellence into a harmful regimen. That's powerful. It's like an ouch. It's like a in my face of turning pursuit of excellence in a harmful regimen. So the cycle of mental burnout, yeah, the core issue. This mismatch between training demands and recovery capacity. Systemic impact, and that is very true. Disrupt not only muscles but also hormonal and neurological systems. Result leads to burnout, physical and emotional exhaustion. Check, dude. Reduce the sense of accomplishment. So basically, you get into a negative feedback loop that fatigue plus stress trigger psychological symptoms. Psychological strain worsens physical symptoms. Athlete feels tired, unmotivated, performs poorly, frustration rises, pushes harder, cycle repeats and deepens, and here we go again because we keep with the same belief. And that's kind of the core thing there that more is better. So back to the final chapter here. Last tournament, 9 days off, and I got back to training 11 days before the tournament. Feeling good, very confident that I was going to win. Nothing really not affecting my confidence, to be honest. We can call it whatever, but losing 15 pounds in 94 days, uh, as I mentioned, 9 months of working on that. It's definitely not easy. Shout out to my sponsor, Jocko Fuel, at Jocko Fuel on Instagram. Always giving shout out to my to supporters and partners. So if you are a competitor, do that. And man, I feel like I put this picture just because, just remind you. And I feel like I need to get better too. Like my food and water during the competition. I'm still like, am I drinking too much or not drinking enough? And I felt that I could have done better. So for this tournament and my division, Master 5 Feather, they have 31 people. I end up being the number one seed. I earned my spot as number one seed for winning the three previous tournaments. And that was the first time I was being number one. And so I got lucky with that. That was 31. So I eliminated one match. So I'm like, I'll absolutely take that. So I went in thinking, I'm going to try not to spend a lot of energy, not try to explode much. It's okay. So first match I pulled first, and then he sat right after he wants to play double pool. I was able to come up, pass, take the back, and get the choke. Second one, I pulled quick, swept, went to the mount quick, and stayed there. Uh, my opponent, he was doing a good job. I submitted him from the mount and the Europeans, and this one he was determined not to get submitted, and he did a good job. And spent a little unnecessary energy in my arms, but not too bad. It was okay. And got to a point, it was like, well, I might as well just cruise, right? And then got to the semifinal. So I went against Kim. We competed last year in the semifinals of the Master World. So very good guard, super technical, flexible. You see this picture of him playing upside down, and that's a position that I trained because I had a feeling I was gonna go against him. And there's specific leg drag sequence that I like to go from there when people invert, and that's actually how I end up winning the match, taking his back and choking him. So uh, I said I'm gonna have to turn it up a little bit, my speed, because if guy's flexible, you have to put sequence. It's very tough for I do this move and I'm here. Yeah, it can happen, but a lot of times sequence. So I eventually end up going to the back, and then I put too much energy. I'm going in first. I'm just trying to get a face crank, and then kind of like I did in my first match. And I tried and got under, so I started squeezing, and then I switched to a full rear naked, and I was squeezing, and he's resisting, and I'm like going. And then finally he tapped. When he tapped, dude, I felt like my arm is just leaving my soul, just like I was like, fuck. So my arms, because my issue had been this area here for some reason, and my heart just boom, 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 boom. Maybe because I'm just holding and kind of holding my breath in a way. So went back to the bullpen. I'm laying there and I'm like, dude, my heart rate is not coming down. It's like boom, 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 boom. So that started messing with my head for sure. Like, crap, this needs to calm down. So luckily, it took a little bit to call us. So when we went there, it was a little lower. But as soon as we start the match, we had an initial kind of exchange. Boom, boom, boom. I hit him in the side mouth. He pushed it away. And then when you reset, my heart was in my mouth of like boom, 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 boom. So I can tell you that, again, what the BJJ mental coach, he can help, like, man, when you're like a physical issue like that, you start to kind of get into a survival mode of like, can I finish this match? Because I started like getting a little concerned about my health, and I said like, can I continue? And so I kept going with like 15 seconds, 10 seconds left or whatever. I did a pass that how I passed his guard and pan, hit to the side. He turned down, came back, got out of the bottom, and put me down. So I thought there was advantage for passing, but whatever. So he put me down, wrestle up, and then I bounced back up. So it tied the match 1-1. So I am very tired, as you can see. And I'm thinking, well, man, I think they're going to give me the advantage, even though I know that I didn't compete well, unfortunately. And then they decided not to give, and they gave the win to Clayton. Super, super tough guy. Why did I lose? Because the referee didn't give you the advantage. I have people to tell me that. I lost because Clayton was more well prepared than I was. I passed the point and he didn't. He had 5 matches. I had 4, and he got in a better shape on the final than me. Was just like, whoa, trying to just kind of deal with what was happening with me. So um as soon as it happened, like I told him, like, because if you look in the rules and then I'm like, okay, maybe yeah, it would be the point. If you give the point, I think should be, and you win, yeah, and we're gonna talk about like, yeah, I won. But reality is, I felt that he did better. So if you went to the decision, it was a fair decision in my opinion. He was really special at the last minute. He really picked up and tried to make it happen. And I told him like, you deserve. And I was thinking on that night, I went home and I was reflecting. I had one of the BJJ Mental Coach t-shirts in my bag that it was he next to my backpack, and I took with me um to the tournament. They don't want to just take a bunch of shirts. I was like, I'll give this here to someone. And then I was reflecting, who's going to give this to? And then I thought, I'm going to give to Clayton, because I sent him a message and I said, because this dude represents what the BJJ Mental Coach is about authenticity, about being you, about playing to win, accept a big challenge. This dude lost twice for me this year. And he lost the finals of the Worlds last year. In the past 3 years, he lost to 4 people, all 4 former world champions. That's it. So he is in the higher tier, and he deserved. He deserved, and of course, I wish I had won, but I can be happy because it's a guy that did put the work. Remember, the BJ Mental Coach is not Gustavo. It's not like he's representing me wearing that shirt. He's representing the movement, the authenticity of being him, accepting big challenges, playing to win. So we will see each other again, and but great guy, dude. Great guy. Even I told my brother, like, his only problem that he's too nice. That's his only problem. So my tier 2 got dismantled by decision. If the ref raised the other hand, to be like, woo, Grand Slam champion. Yee. But yeah, that didn't happen. So it's just uh tier 1. I was healthy. I learned a lot. If you get any, when you think about like big challenge that you accepted, when you come to the end of the big look, this was a 9 month process, man, you come with a different version at the end. At least that's how I feel, right? So what's the role of mental skills training in, not just uh, with overtraining, but in general, right? But we're talking about overtraining. Athletes with risk, with high drive, but low self awareness are at greater risk of overtraining because they miss early warning signs. So this is a tough one because I worked a lot of my self awareness and all that kind of stuff. So for me, stings for me to like, I kind of like knew what I was doing, but I kept pushing, and my belief, I guess, was too strong about the doing more is better, right? And taught me a massive lesson. And yeah, it helps to athletes to get into that connection of body and mind and recognizing cues like loss enthusiasm or anxiety. I understand, but it really comes down to the beliefs. And the core principle of mental skills training, personal development, the BJJ mental coach, like the 5 pillars of emotional intelligence. I talk about it, all 5 of them in my book, as a matter of fact. Self awareness, self regulation, self motivation, self awareness, and empathy. Right now, let's just talk about the two relevant ones. Self awareness, recognize and understand your emotional state and physical sensations. Really feel like, how do I feel right now? What's going through my mind? And if you're thinking about overtraining, is this normal? Is that a warning sign? But you need to be mindful what's going on in your head. Number one. So self awareness key, but self awareness by itself only is not going to really serve you because you need self regulation to self manage, self monitor your own thoughts, feelings, and behaviors with the right tools we're going to talk about right now. Um, and yeah, with overtraining, just training, take rest days, all that kind of stuff. But overall, you need to have the self awareness to recognize that, like, dude, I'm trip, like, oh, you need to do more, need to do more. And then the self regulation to let me reevaluate this here. Do I really have to do more in this moment that my body is just not? How are the short term and long term consequences of me doing this? So you're analyzing all this, and the key outcome of all that is, yes, builds a healthier, sustainable relationship with BJJ. Shift the mindset. The more is better, right? Smarter is better. Elevates mental health to the same priority as physical health. That's a big one. Do not underestimate that. So remember, it's you versus you, right? Self awareness. So think about this. Do you think about what do you think about? Think about that. So if when you stop to think, I'm like, what do I think about? Yeah, think about that. Psychologists say that you have 50 to 60,000 thoughts a day, and a big chunk of them are negative. We don't realize how often we criticize and judge not only others, but our own selves, right? So we don't realize, sometimes we stop to think about all the negativity that's coming in. So you need to, I call the karate block, it's coming. I'm like, I'm defending myself. I'm filtering those thoughts, and then be like, okay, self regulation. Let's reevaluate what's cracking, what's going on. Do you have control or no control of the situation of what is being said? It's like, I'm afraid of disappointing others. That's the fear of disappointing others, one of the mental mistakes. Can you control the expectations that others may have of you? That's on them. If you're not meeting their expectations on you, that's on them, not on you. Is this a rational or irrational thought? Well, if I'm consistently trying to control what others are thinking, that's going to be a challenging one. So after that, you make a decision. It's clear. Now you see that this, if I think this way here, is going to help me to move towards my goal or how I want to feel. And this one's going to pull me back or move me away from where I want to go. So you need to make it a decision and go from there. So with that decision, does that include play to win or play not to lose? Because if you want to be the authentic you in jiu-jitsu and life, yeah, you have to play to win. So I'm going to have this little tool here. We'll just talk about the self-awareness, self-regulation, but something for you to think about. A traffic light that goes like this for you to deal with your winning with the war within. Self-awareness to see, like, you see the wave, the negative wave coming. Oh man, I don't want to disappoint others if I do this, that I'm gonna lose. And then it's like, paro, stop. Now that you realize that all the wave is coming of negativity, reflect, kind of breathe, reflect. Do I have control or not? Start to really reevaluate who's saying that. Why do I have to agree? Is that my dark passenger? Is that someone's dark passenger? If I don't have to accept my own dark passenger, do I have to accept other people? Which leads to a different pillar, which is social awareness, another pillar very important. And then the third one is like, okay, I understand now that this is holding me back. And then combat, choose and go. So there's situations that you're going to stop, breathe, reflect, decide. In the everyday life, This is done in like sometimes in 1 second or less. It's just you just look at it automatically. Your mind goes there, goes to your hardware to be like, okay, what does this here mean? Boom, 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 make a decision. So to be able to go like bam, 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 recognize that a negativity came, fight back your dark passenger, boom, reset. Okay, so take a screenshot. This is a good one for you to just a good reminder. So coming to the end of the webinar, so a couple of things here. How to prevent overtraining. Pretty straightforward, playing ahead. I plan to recover. That's why I mentioned I have a bunch of stuff that I do for recovery. Structured training cycles, which I do, and I have a strength and conditioning coach, but he goes based on what I'm saying. And I'm saying, like, you can give me more, you can give me more. He'll be like, okay, you're feeling good. Or like, yeah, go, go, go. And listen to your body, which I didn't. When I did, it was too late. Prioritize nutrition and hydration. Super important if you're gonna lose weight, work with someone. Commit to recovery work, optimize sleep. If you're already there, have no other option, man. Like I said, I was 9 days off and still, I was too deep. Pull back volume, take extra days off, focus on quality. Talking with my mentor uh, and coach Under Pederneirs, where he's one of the best MMA coaches in the world. So he said something really profound after the term, after I was sharing with him what happened. And he said, like, Gustavo, it's like this. Imagine that you have a certain amount of hours that you need to prepare for a competition or a fight or whatever. If you put more hours than you need, that means you're going to get to your destination faster, meaning you can probably end up getting in shape before the competition, past the point, and now that's a problem. And he said something that really made sense to me. Check it out. He said, I would rather have a fighter that is coming out of shape to get ready, put him in shape in a fairly short notice, than get a overtrained guy that I'm trying to undo the damage that it can take a long time. Has been 3 weeks since I competed. I haven't trained anything. I'm committed to stay 1 month, uh, probably two, um, completely off. My shoulders are not fully recovered. I'm not doing anything. I'm not doing any weights, nothing, and still doesn't feel right. So that's why I'm like, I'm gonna stay in, and I'll get back next year. I'll be competing. So I'm reevaluating a lot of things. So with that said, um, the importance of, because it's another mental mistake of underestimating the mental preparation. I really want you to think about the belief cycle. For example, if you have the belief that more is better, so now all your thoughts, feelings, and behaviors in action or lack of, they will go through base the belief that you have they need more. So you will have an experience, and that experience will have a type of result. So in my case, my experience, it kind of conflicts with my belief. Now they'll be like, well, if I don't want to have that experience of being overtraining done, my belief the next season, I'm going to abort being 51. I'm going to abort doing 2 sessions in a day. I'm going to do my plan B, that is just one day one day the other, and I'm going to go like that. I'm not going to do the Grand Slam again. I'm not going to try to make featherweight 4 times a year because I felt like my performance, to be honest, from the 4 tournaments, physically thinking, went like this, dun, 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 not the opposite, what should be. So doing that, hopefully it changes my experience and validates and proves that like, yeah, this is the best way to go, because I can have my bad experience and go like, I didn't do enough, I should have done more, right? So we need to learn from our lessons. So keep in mind, what is the core belief? This is a big one, y'all. If you can take a screenshot of this one, what is a core belief that is really determine your experience and the result of something that you want on and off the mat? So, 4 reflections for you today. Same thing, can do a screenshot and take your time for each one. What is your main takeaway from today that can shift the way you see both your training and your daily life? One thing. What is one thing you can start applying on and off the mats that will help you to bring your true self forward? So, um, again, just one thing. In your last challenge, whether in competition or life, were you being your most authentic self? If not, what held you back? What was the belief that made you react certain way that gave you that experience for you not to be your most authentic self? You got to dig in. That's your duty. When you look back in years from now, how do you want to be remembered not just as a competitor but as a person? What's your legacy? Here with me, it's just like love him or hate him, he did the best he could to live an authentic life, to face his fears, accept challenge, and that's how I end up here in the United States. Came for a competition, crazy story by itself. I have that in the book. And 4 months later, moved, lost my sold my car, brought over 2 grand, and started my life here. So talk about authenticity. It's a wild journey. So keep that in mind when you're reflecting. You're going to be using this tool of like stop, reflect, boom, make a decision. Okay. So you're going to be using this all the time, all day long. Remember, it's a daily battle. So now, with that said, just to wrap up, the BJJ Mental Coach Masters community, super excited about this, man. This is a really cool project. Hope I can make a good impact. We can make a good impact together as a community. Access to all my online courses and ebooks. It's $150 value just as it is. Exclusive videos, interviews, content, monthly classes with me, and we're gonna have a support network with forums and stuff. And that's the idea, to support your journey. And the mission is the same that you saw in the beginning: inspire, impact, and improve your journey in some way, shape, or form. And is it for me? I don't know. Are you committed, not just interested? Because when you're interested, you do things when they're convenient, when you feel like it. Yeah, it's okay. I'll do it tomorrow. But when you're committed, you do what you need to do. You do whatever it takes to get to where you want to be. Meaning, are you willing to play to win and play not to lose? Right. So if you're willing to play to win, to really become a most authentic version on and off the mat, work on your personal development, especially being over 30. I want that crowd that there's one point in your life, yo, maybe someone's younger that is watching this and maybe is going to come here and hear a lot of the stuff that I'm saying right now. If I was 20 years old, maybe I wasn't ready to listen. Do you know what I'm saying? If you're older, you know exactly what I'm talking about. Maybe I was like, dude, that's good information, but I don't think maybe I would be ready uh to absorb that. So you have to really take in consideration like your goal. Otherwise, you're just wasting your time and your money. Personally, again, I'll be 51. I started my personal development journey 35, or really be introduced to self-awareness, self-regulation, all the stuff that I'm sharing. I'm like, whoa, 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 whoa. What's going on here? I wish I could say that when I started at 20, I would be in a completely different position. However, I probably wouldn't be sharing this with you. So there's a reason why. So if you're in your 30s right now, 40s, 50s, and you haven't really worked on, and you start to question, like, dude, how do I want to live the rest of my life? I'm here, I'm 50. I don't know how long I'm going to be here for, maybe 20 years, 30, maybe 40. Oh, shoot. I don't know. But you need to ask, like, are you living congruently with your values? Are you living the authentic life that you want for you and your family? Not about money, not about money, internal peace, that kind of success. You decide what kind of success you have. And then I'm not talking about money. If you want to fly high, you really want to accept challenges, on and off the mat, maybe this is for you. So 29 per month, 290 full year, got 2 months off. And if you sign up by tomorrow night, receive a copy of my book, Inner Discover for Auto Success, the ebook version that is sold on 14.99 at Amazon. You can also find, if you prefer reading, you can find the book and just go to thebjjmentalcoach.com. You're going to see that picture and can click on it and take to a link of everything that you need from like Portuguese version, English version, and the audiobook with the link that goes to BJJ Fanatics, which is um, specifically there, exclusively there. And if you want more information, site, Instagram, Gustavo Dantas, BJJ, and hopefully this is for you, the BJJ Mental Coach Masters community. Saturday today, officially kicking in and starting. And I really hope, dude, I can make an impact in your life, and you, with whatever impact you, whatever information you gather, you're able to share this with other people. You know what I mean? And then you can impact other people as well. So congratulations one more time. Check out the bjjmentalcoach.com, and I see you in the community. Take care. Oos.